Good morning, Rabotai. Welcome to Breakfast in the Class. Breakfast in the Class today is dedicated for the Refuah Shlema of Chana Bat Fega and Eliyahu Shimon ben Mazal Fortuné and Simcha Bat Naima. My friends, we have some beautiful news to be able to share. First of all, we want to wish Mazal Tov and Mabruk to my brother Yosef and Dali on the engagement of their son Yitzchak, and we want to wish the Rabbi El Maleh and his family the Mazal Tov on the engagement. Baruch Hashem, what a special zechut. You should be zocheh to have many happy occasions. Also, of course, I do want to wish and say Mazal Tov and Mabruk to my dear wife Chana. Last night we celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary. Yeah, of course, I want to thank you for putting up with all the mishagas, which is, thank you so much. Me too. And then this happened. So, my friends, I want to say Chazak Baruch, and the pasuk says, "Ko amar Hashem, zacharti lach chesed neuraich." So says Hashem, I remember the kindness of your youth. Lechtech acharai b'midbar, to follow me into the desert, be'eretz lo zeruah, in a land that has not been planted. So, Ko amar Hashem, so says God, I remember the kindness of your youth. We have with us over here, Mishpahat Arbib, Chazak Baruch. Emmanuel's here with us. Emmanuel was with us on our journey in London, and my wife, Lechtech acharai b'midbar, she followed us into a land very far away. Lo zeruah, it's not something that we knew. No family, no friends there at the time, but she knew that we had a mission to be able to go do it, and my wife went. And like my children said last night when we celebrated together, never did they hear my wife ever complaining. My daughter said something so beautiful. She said, for you to do what you do, Abba, it's your nature. You're an outgoing person, you go at the people, you do it. But mommy, that's not necessarily her style. And for her to do and to follow you there, and they never heard her complain about where we live. Yes, please. 1 milk and 1 sweetener. So my friends, to be able to do all that we've done together, whatever we've done together, is a big zechut for me to have married that woman. And who knows what our community here would look like if I did not meet Chana Abiksa all those years ago. Or who knows what England would look like without Chazak, because no one else that I know from the community ever would have followed me there. So I'm very, very grateful. Ko amar Hashem, Ko is Gematria 25. Chazak Baruch. Let's begin. My friends, today, especially in light of this special celebration, thank you so much. Please only answer Amen if you're listening to this live. Thank you very much. I now have hot brew and cold brew, sponsored by David G.E. Ash in honor of you and your substantial capacity good today and every day. Okay, so my friends, I'm thinking a lot about this, especially in light of our silver wedding anniversary. Although I was once told by a wise man, whether it's a silver wedding anniversary or a gold wedding anniversary, they always want diamonds. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'hakol nהיה b'dvaro. Although whoever said that clearly never met my wife Chana. Okay, let's begin. The parasha tells us a magnificent piece. A piece that I always felt very passionate, very strongly about. Pasuk says, when the Jewish people are in the desert in the second year, Shana Shenit, Ya'asu b'nei Yisrael et Pesach Moado. The Jewish people did the Pesach in its correct time. Ba'arba'a asar yom b'chodesh hazeh ben ha'abayim ta'asu oto. They did it on the 14th day of the month of Nisan, exactly when they're supposed to do it. So 1 year after they're in the desert, Shana HaShenit, they do the Korban Pesach. There's 2 things I want to point out. Number 1, they did the Korban Pesach on the second year on this day. Our rabbis tell us it's coming not only to tell us that they did Pesach then, but also silent jab. Now, Baruch Hashem, I'm married to a very special woman, so I've never experienced this. But people tell me that in marriage, sometimes you can have a partner that's passive aggressive. Sometimes you can have someone who looks for chances to be able to dig, to be able to mention, oh, that's so nice. You got that for your wife on your anniversary. Side eye at her husband. You hear people, oh, you going on vacation. Your husband's taking you away. Oh, that's so nice. I wonder what that's like. These kind of, digs. Seems like the Torah is giving a little bit of a passive-aggressive dig here. What is it? Let me just tell you guys. On the second year, on the 14th day, the Jews did the Korban Pesach. Coming to tell you that from that point until they got into Eretz Israel, the Jews never did the Korban Pesach again. Why not? We have a Talmid Chacham with us, Marie. Why not? They were lacking the ability to have Brit Milah. Exactly. Since there was no Ruach Tzifonit, there was no northerly wind in the desert, they could not do Brit Milah. And that meant that in every home, there was a child, there's someone that didn't have Brit Milah, so they could not do the Korban Pesach. Fascinating. So in all the desert, how many times did they do the Korban Pesach? One time. Once in Egypt itself, and then once in the Midbar. After that, we're on pause, like Hokel keeps saying. We're on pause. Someone asked her, what does a pause mean? She says, I don't know how to describe a pause better than a pause. It's supposed to start congestion charging on June 30th. She's explaining pause. She doesn't know how to explain pause. Let me explain pause, Governor Hokel, for you. Pause means let me not do something to make me unpopular before they vote whether or not I'm going to get back into office. That's how you explain, Hokel, what pause means. Sorry? What does the northerly wind have to do? Excellent. So the northerly wind is a healing agent that it takes a part in Brit Milah. So if Brit Milah is present without no Ruach Tzefonit, Has v'shalom, the baby could die. Where do we find another example of this idea of Ruach Tzefonit not being there, so Brit Milah being postponed, on pause? Moshe Rabbeinu, when Moshe is traveling from Midian back to Egypt to come and tell the Jewish people the good news that they're going to be redeemed, he does not do Brit Milah on his second son. Why not? He does not have Ruach Tzefonit. Is this clear? Since it's Pikuach Nefesh, are you supposed to do it? No. There's rare cases where Brit Milah can be Pikuach Nefesh. And as we know, for Pikuach Nefesh, what's Doche Pikuach Nefesh? What pushes off Pikuach Nefesh is something that has risk to human life? Only the big three. Idolatry, adultery, and murder. Everything else in the Torah is pushed off for Pikuach Nefesh. Where do you have a case like this? Bar Minan, Bar Minan. You have a family that has a child, they do Brit Milah, the kid dies. Second child does Brit Milah, the kid. When we establish that there's a problem here in the family with Brit Milah, they don't do Brit Milah on the kids anymore. Why? Pikuach Nefesh. Fascinating case. Okay? I asked once a Mohel, he says, who had done maybe hundreds of thousands of Brit Milahs over his lifetime. Okay, Rab Mohel in Israel. I said, if he ever encountered something like that. He told me once, but he's not sure that the problem was Brit Milah or not. Because it could be some other medical complication which is tying in. He's not sure if it was because of the Brit Milah, but he said in the instance, they asked the Sheila, there was a Safek, they didn't do Brit Milah. Pikuach Nefesh. So in a situation of Pikuach Nefesh, is there something else you're supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? You don't do Brit Milah. Once you didn't do Brit Milah, what are you supposed to do? You can't bring Korban Pesach. What do you want from the guy's life? So why is it a negative thing? Why is it a negative thing? Why was it a negative thing by Moshe Rabbeinu? How do we know it was a negative thing? His wife had to save his life. His wife had to save his life. He was swallowed up. A malach comes and swallows Moshe Rabbeinu up. Sipporah understands exactly what the problem is. So what does she do? Vatikach tzorot biyada. She takes a sharpened rock in her hands and she does the Brit Milah. Okay? Now, my friends, in that moment, when she does the Brit Milah, it's safe because they've already arrived at the hotel that they're staying in. So why is Moshe being punished? Why is it a negative thing? Oh, guys, let me point out. Here's the one time the Jews actually did the Korban Pesach. What do you want from them? Had they gone to the Sanhedrin, what would the Sanhedrin tell them? Don't do Brit Milah, don't bring Korban Pesach. So why is it a negative thing? What do we see? Doesn't say anything over here about the negative attitude. It's a good answer if we would have a proof for it. My friends, by Moshe Rabbeinu, the Chachamim explain that it's true. We were not upset with Moshe Rabbeinu for not doing Brit Milah on the road. But once he got to the Malon, when Moshe Rabbeinu was taking care of settling into the Malon, for someone on Moshe's level, the very first thing he should have done when it was safe to do the mitzvah is to do the mitzvah. I'm often reminded of this when we have this question. Fadal, come on in. Come on in. We have some long-time listeners, first-time attenders. Hazaku Baruch. Everyone who listens to the shiur, who comes to New York, should make the shiur part of their itinerary. Hazaku Baruch. Welcome. Come have some breakfast, kids. Okay? Hazaku Baruch. Okay. So my friends, for Moshe Rabbeinu, it should have been done right away. I always think of this with this new practice with afternoon brisses. Drives me crazy. I love that they're having a bris. I love it. I love that there's more people. I love it. But you see Moshe Rabbeinu, right? He checked in. He had to do it right away. He was punished. How did Hashem know Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't planning an afternoon bris? His family wasn't around. Who knows? By that time, by the afternoon, Moshe Rabbeinu might have had 94 converts with him. It's Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay, of course, my friends, everyone should do what their rabbis tell them to do. But everyone should also ask what the halakha is. Certain cases, there's exceptions to be made. But zirizin makdimin lemitzvot. A person's supposed to do a mitzvah as soon as they can. As soon as they can. And one of the places that it's most expressed is in Brit Milah. So my friends, there's always a trade-off. Having more people, Birovam Hadrat Melech, on the other hand, zirizin. Whatever you could do to be able to make it earlier, make it earlier. Even if you're going to make it in the afternoon, at the very least, it should not be one of these situations where we're not sure if we're going to catch shki'ah, like, you know what I mean? Let's pray mincha first, and then we're going to do the Brit Milah. And Brit Milah now is literally flirting with shki'ah, according to some opinion. I remember once, a guy told me, he checked shki'ah on my zmanim. Now there's machloket in the halachot of zman, right? Different opinions as to how you calculate the time. The guy missed at least 2 opinions of what time day is, and the guy's no longer in the 8th day. Dachilkon, haram. Okay, my friends, one of the things I feel is important as a rabbi is to tell the people the truth. It doesn't mean you need to beat people up, but people at least need to know the way things ought to be. My friends, the Jewish people over here, what's the problem? Why is it a problem? Why is it a negative thing that they didn't have Korban Pesach? The Maharal gives an amazing answer. The Maharal says, I'm going to explain the Maharal with a humorous story that I once heard, because there's no way better to explain the Maharal than with this example. There's a guy, gets a knock at his door. He goes to the door. His neighbor comes and his neighbor says, good neighbor, how you doing? State Farm. He says, could I borrow your axe? And the guy looks at the fellow at the door. He doesn't like lending stuff. Stingy guy. Doesn't like lending anything out. Scared he's never going to see it again. He tells the guy at the door, he says, listen, I'm really sorry. I can't lend you my axe. Guy says, why not? He says, because I needed to shave. Anyway, the guy looks at him a little weird. He says, okay. And he closes the door. His wife says, that's ridiculous. You didn't lend him your axe because you need to shave? Makes no sense. He looks at his wife, shrugs his shoulders, and says, who cares if it makes sense? It was only an excuse anyway. When you're making an excuse, it doesn't matter. You ever had that guy working for you in the office? Every day he doesn't make a sale. Every day he's late. Every day there's a problem. And you know what? To his credit, every day he's got a reason. Every day he's got a reason. As Mark says, he's not there anymore. This guy has a problem. He needs to go visit Simcha. Get his act together. Get some therapy. Come on. Excuses, excuses, excuses. Get the job done. The Maharal's understanding is, you look at the Jewish people that didn't have one Korban Pesach in 40 years in the desert. They had one, excuse me. Every year you had an excuse. But what is an excuse? It doesn't give you what you need. In the end of the day, did the Jews have the Korban Pesach or not? You didn't make a sale, you don't make commission. You didn't make a sale, you don't have a job. It doesn't matter why you didn't make commission or you didn't have a sale. End of the day, is there food on your table or not? There isn't. So people, we all know them. They have an excuse for everything. There's a reason why they didn't come to this farah, and there's a reason why they weren't there for you when you needed them, and there's a reason why they didn't stand up for you when someone was embarrassing you, and there's a reason, and there's a reason, and there's a reason, and there's a reason. I can't lend you my shaver. I can't lend you my axe. You know why? Because I need a shave. I can't lend you my shaver because I need to go chop wood. You understand? It's an excuse. Who cares? To understand what the Maharal is teaching us, we need to understand one last piece. And that is, that how long were the Jewish people supposed to be in the desert? 50-day countdown to Matan Torah, get the Torah, and then what? Israel. So you want to know why we don't have a Korban Pesach? Absolutely true. You know why? Because we don't have Brit Milah. You want to know why we don't have Brit Milah? Because we don't have a northerly wind in the desert. It's not my fault. Why are you in the desert? Because you waited 6 hours and you got a little bit anxious and you went ahead and you built yourself a golden calf. So that delayed. And then what'd you do? And then you made another mistake. And then you made another mistake. Kivrota ta'ava. Complaining about the Slav. Complaining about the Meraglim. One mistake after the next. Korah. 1, 2, 3. My friends, what kept us in the desert were mistakes that were our responsibility. And oftentimes, this guy who is so filled with excuses, he can never find the parts in those excuses that are actually his fault. And you know what? If you didn't have those things that were your fault, none of these other things would matter. Imagine a guy borrows your car, crashes your car, comes late, says it's not my fault. There was a long line at the car rental agency. That is not your fault. But you were going 100 miles an hour down Roosevelt Avenue where you're supposed to go 15 because you might run children over by Deal School. So you know what happened? A bus pulled out in front of you and you crashed your car. Now you need to rent a car. But why do you need to rent a car? How many times is that our life situation, my friends? I don't know what to do, Rabbi. I'm in this position. I'm in this business. You got to lie to get ahead. You got to misrepresent the goods in order to be able to make the sale. You got to sketch the weight of the container. You got to do this, you got to do that. You know what, Rabbi? Everybody's doing it. If I don't do it, I can't put food on the table. Rabbi, is that what you want? You want me to not have parasha? Is that what I said? Is that what I said? I want to share with you one of the funniest things from my 25-year. I mentioned earlier we're celebrating 25 years of marriage as of yesterday. I want to share with you one of the funniest stories of my entire 25 years of marriage. I have a daughter, she's hilarious. Very emotionally in tune. Anyway, one day, it's late for bedtime. She asked my wife, she says, I would like to have bubble bath. My wife says, it's late. It's no time for a bubble bath. We need to quickly, take you to the shower and put you in bed. No time for luxury. What, you want candles now? I added that for effect. My wife did not say that. Right? Kid wants bubble bath. My wife says, I'm sorry, you need to shower, you go to bed. My daughter, she's 2 at the time. 2. She looks at my wife and she says, Mommy, I don't understand. I asked you for bubble bath. I love bubble bath. Bubble bath makes me happy. When you love someone, don't you want them to be happy? Don't you love me? Do you understand when we want something, how capable we are of twisting and twisting and twisting the narrative? You took your time, you kvetched 50 times to go to bed, now it's late, now you want the thing, now you can't have the thing, but whose fault is it? It's mommy's fault. You got it? Don't complain to me that you need to do dishonest things in your industry, otherwise you can't make parasha. Don't be in that industry. Literally, stand up today and get out. Guys telling you that it's so difficult to keep Shabbat, because in this job, that's not the job for you. You can't get Shabbat off in that job? Okay, choose another job. My friends, I'm not making light of challenges, of difficult things. What I'm saying is, let's call a spade a spade. Let's recognize when we have responsibility and when we have agency and when we have choice and when we've messed up, and call the mess up what we've done, not the circumstances that came afterwards and because of what we did. My friends, the rest of this chapter, I feel like, takes a magnificent turn. And maybe we could come and revisit Murray Dayan's genius answer from before. On the 14th day of the month, they did the Korban Pesach. There were people who were tameh. They had come into contact with dead bodies, and therefore they were impure. One of the rules of Korban Pesach is you can't bring Korban Pesach if you're impure. Machloket exactly who these people were and why they were impure. All right? But they were impure. Whatever the case was, should they have been impure? According to all the opinions of who they were. The answer is yes. Mechila, I'm giving a class here. Me and mosquitoes have a hate-hate relationship. Okay. My friends, should they have been tameh? Yes. Is it their fault they could not bring Korban Pesach? No. Honest. Says the pasuk, Vayomru anashim ahem. They came to Moshe and Aaron, and they said, Anachnu temeim lenefesh adam. We're impure. Lama nigara. Why should we be any worse off than anybody else? Libilti hakriv et korban Hashem b'moado b'toch b'nei Yisrael. It's not fair. It's not fair that we can't do it. Yomer alehem Moshe. Moshe said, Imdu ve'ishma'a ma yisaveh amunai lachem. Let me hear. I'm going to go ask Hashem what can be done. Recently I had a phone call. Very difficult phone call. Actually, it was a message from a woman who's in a difficult situation. She said, what should I do? I know what the halakha is, but I'm in a very difficult situation. This is the situation. Is there anything I can do? I said, I'm so sorry. I don't know of any answer. I said, I'm going to reach out to one of my rabbi friends. I reached out, got back, same thing. No answer. No recourse. I messaged her back. I'm thinking, how am I going to tell this woman that that in the situation she's stuck with what, it's going to be difficult for a little while. I messaged her back, and immediately she shoots back a message. So beautiful. She says, I knew that there was probably going to be no way. I just thought I should ask. It's okay, Rabbi, don't worry. It's okay, it's fine. Don't worry, it's okay. She was prepared. She knew there might not be an answer, but she felt, you know what, maybe I should ask. Maybe there's a halakha, maybe I'm allowed. Maybe there's a way. Maybe there's an approach. If not, okay, I made my peace, I understand. These people came to Moshe and Aaron. We know the halakha. We know we're not allowed to bring it. We know we were supposed to become tameh. According to one of the opinions, it's the specific people that took out Nadav and Avihu when they got burned, right before God on the day of the inauguration of the Mishkan. Mitzvah for them to do it. My friends, this is the approach you make when you made a mistake. It's not even their fault, but they understand. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. I want to do this mitzvah. You have some people, they did not merit to go to a Jewish school. They did not merit a chance to be able to read or to learn Hebrew. So what do? Come to shul. They tell the rabbi, listen, Rabbi, it's so nice everything you got over here, but this learning is not for me. Unfortunately, my parents never sent me to a Jewish school. We didn't grow up in a Jewish area. I kind of wish things were different. I sent my children to Jewish school. I sent my kids to Jewish school. I want them to have. I learned something so beautiful once. There was a rabbi who sees a fella and he says to him, do you go learn? Do you study? It's very important to study Torah. It's very important to raise your children to study Torah, to follow in the ways of Hashem. He says, Rabbi, I'm very busy working. So I work, but I make sure that my children have the best tutors, that they have the best people to learn with. The rabbi said, wow, that's fantastic. You know what your children will learn? He says, what? He says, your children will learn that they should also not learn and that they should hire great tutors for their children. They're watching you. You didn't start off that way? So what? It's not your fault? So what? Let me explain where the origin source for this feeling comes from. When the thing that you're trying to excuse is not something you're desperate for, you need, you understand the value of, then you make excuses as to why you could get out of it. But imagine someone says, there's $1 billion on the table, and someone says to you, listen, I don't know if you could come into maybe you didn't have a chance. What are you fighting against it? But maybe there's a way. Maybe I'll go to school now. Maybe, how about if I enroll to Jewish school online at this moment? Does that count? Now I went to a Jewish school. Does that count? You're coming up with, why? Because there's $1 billion on the table. If you saw Torah that way, Tov li Torat picha me'alfei zahav v'chesef. You know what? You're second to the table. You're not going to shoot your shot to get the deal, to get the sale. You're not going to shoot your shot to put a bid down on this amazing house. You're not going to shoot your shot to get your kids into that school or to that college, even though it's less likely, or there's some sort of excuse that you could have used. Excuses don't matter if you want the thing. When do we use excuses? When we're trying to get out of the thing. Are you trying to get out of the thing? Or do you want the thing? The Torah says, the Jewish people in all the desert time, they did one Korban Pesach. But says the Torah in the same breath, not all the Jews looked at Korban Pesach that way. Let me share with you another kind of Jew. A Jew that when he misses the chance, and it's not even his fault, not like the first guys that are in the situation because of the Egel, because of the Miraglim, because of Korach, because of the Mitonenim, not even those guys. Guys that have every reason in the world, every justification in the world. You have a guy, Bar Minan, loses his father at a young age. Hazi, orphan. Comes to school, you don't need to turn in your homework. You don't need to do this. Goes to get a job, Hazi, he has no father. You keep cutting him slack like that. You keep telling him that those excuses are good enough, and it doesn't matter, and he doesn't need to produce, and he doesn't need to at some stage stand up and say, it doesn't matter what happened to me. What do I want for tomorrow? You know what you've raised? You've raised a guy that's never going to be anything. You've mentored a young man who's never going to be anything, because he'll always think that excuses absolve you from successes. That sentence is not even a sentence that makes sense. It absolves you from responsibilities. It absolves you from being blamed. But in the end, it doesn't matter. The blame does not matter. Children say, it's his fault. It's her fault. It's their fault. Adults understand, nobody cares. End of the day, nobody cares. Look out for yourself. Go get what you want. You want the Torah, you didn't get the education? Start slow. Start with a class. Go take some Hebrew lessons. Come on. You didn't know about tzedakah your whole life. All of a sudden you come to shul and this crazy rabbi is talking about maaser. What's this maaser, Rabbi? Maaser berebi Eliezer. That's what it is? What does maaser mean? 10%. Oh, you have to give 10% of your money to charity? Shema Yisrael. I'm 60 years old. I never gave tzedakah. Okay? That was yesterday. What about today? What about tomorrow? Tomorrow, I love you tomorrow. My friends, the greatest, the most precious commodity we have in our life is today. That's why they call it the present. It's the greatest gift. It doesn't matter what was before. It only matters what is now. The Yetzer Hara's greatest trick is to force you to look over here and to look back and to find all the times that you failed and all the times that you did the wrong thing. And you tell yourself, I'm not that kind of guy. That's like a rabbi thing. I didn't grow up that way. Who cares how you grew up? I care more about how you're going to grow old. I care more about what your children are going to learn. And it's never too late. Lama nigara. So what? I was once tameh, but I could be tahor. I will be tahor. That, my friends, is the gift of the parasha of this of Pesach and Pesach Sheni. May Hashem bless us always to strive to do more and to find the things that are valuable in our life and to chase them and to take every excuse that we've got, throw it in a very specially marked bin. You have trash, you have recycling, and you have excuses. Baruch Hanei Le'olam. Amen ve'amen. Rabbi Chananya ben Akasha Omer